Alright. Every time your business sends sensitive information to a public AI model, you're making a trade, okay? You're trading speed for exposure, right? You're trading convenience for dependency, intelligence for uncertainty about where your data actually goes. The past 3 years, most businesses accepted that trade because local models weren't competitive. If you wanted serious AI capability, you needed a cloud API. That was the honest answer. But that answer has expired. In 2025, you can run Llama 3.3, a model that performs comparably to GPT-4 on most enterprise tasks, locally on an M2 MacBook Pro with a single command at 30 to 50 tokens per second. No API key, no data leaving the machine, no vendor relationship that can change its pricing terms overnight. Excuse is gone. What's left is also a decision for me to make as well. I'm not talking to you guys from this high horse of someone who's already done this. I'm looking into doing this now as well. So I'm not speaking from a place of superiority or know more than you guys. Most businesses rolling out AI workflows right now are building on infrastructure they don't control and don't fully understand, right? Customer records, financial data, legal documents, internal operations, all flowing through external APIs to servers owned by a handful of companies in California. And the problem isn't that those companies are malicious. The problem is sovereignty. When your intelligence layer depends entirely on someone else's infrastructure, you inherit their outages, their policy changes, their pricing shifts, and their compliance exposure. The OpenAI API went down 3 separate times in the first half of 2024, and each outage took every product and workflow that was built on top of it. There was no warning, no recourse. The downtime is your downtime, even though the server isn't even yours. So on the pricing side, I covered in episode 13, right? What Reddit's API pricing change did to Apollo and 9,000 plus subredditors overnight. Subredditors, but subreddits themselves. The same dynamic applies to cloud AI APIs. You're building on someone else's cost structure. When their compute costs go up, and with frontier models they will, your API bill goes up. You've built an operational dependency into your product before you've even shipped anything. And for the operators who handle genuinely sensitive data, a property management company with 500 tenant records, a medical practice with patient intake workflows, a law firm with discovery documents, your exposure is a liability that the business may not even fully understand is carrying. Right? So this isn't paranoia, it's the basis arithmetic of infrastructure risk. A year ago, the honest answer on local LLMs was it was viable for development, but not for production grade for most business workflows, right? That changed pretty quickly. Ollama is an open source local LLM runtime, basically Docker for AI models. It crossed 112 million polls for Llama 3.1 alone. A single command to run a model. It handles quantization, GPU acceleration automatically. It exposes an OpenAPI compatible API at localhost, so you can swap it in as a drop-in replacement for existing cloud API calls with a URL change. And the current top-tier local models as of spring 2026, right, are Llama 3.3 with 8 billion parameters for the best all-around balance on mid-range hardware. We have Mistral Small 3 for the highest token throughput when speed is the priority. And then we have 5.4 Mini at 3.8 billion parameters if you're running on a machine with under 8 gigabytes of VRAM. Then we have Qwen 3.5, 32 billion parameters for coding and complex reasoning tasks on higher end hardware. So all of these run on hardware a small business can actually afford. For production serving with multiple concurrent users, vLLM uses a technique called paged attention that reduces memory fragmentation and increases throughput by 2 to 4 times versus naive inference. You can run a shared local AI service across your team on a single server with reasonable hardware. And the capability gap between local and cloud has narrowed to the point where, for most enterprise workflows like document processing, internal Q&A, workflow automation, compliance checking, local models are production grade. Let me that out the video. Cut that shit out. That's mad embarrassing. Like, imagine, alright, you gotta buy a house. Here's what private AI deployment actually looks like for a small operator. A local and a private network. Private storage, so your data never leaves the building. The model, we have internal networking, which is the model's API endpoint is accessible only inside the private network, so there's no public exposure. Then we have encrypted logging, which is an audit trail of what the model was asked and what it returned, stored locally, retrievable for compliance. All right. Next, we have the human approval layers. So for high stakes actions, a human reviews the model's recommendation before it executes. This isn't bureaucracy. It's the business with sensitive operational data, running AI workflows without a single byte leaving their network. So that's the story you can tell your clients, your compliance team, and your legal counsel. And it's increasingly the story that wins enterprise contracts that cloud-dependent competitors can't touch. Most founders competing on features are in a race with every other team building on the same cloud APIs, with the same models, with the same capability set. And it's a features race. And feature rate and govern, audit, and explain. The founders who solve governance win larger contracts, longer engagements, and referrals from compliance teams who never recommend vendors on features alone. So you're not selling a smarter model, you're selling a safer architecture. Those are different sales to different buyers. And the privacy buyer is typically the one who controls the budget. So for BeatLogic specifically, which is my software, the property management operations I'm automating run on sensitive data like tenant records, financial transactions, lease terms. The operators I'm talking to have asked, no, they have not. Cut that shit out the video. Data security, think AI. But not all automation is AI, and not all AI leads to automation. That's the caveat. But building on a system, you don't fully own the system at all. So would you trust your most sensitive business data to a public API? Drop your honest answer in the comments. And if you're an operator running sensitive workflows on cloud AI and you're wondering what a private deployment would cost to set up, DM me because that's exactly what I build. I'm Kai from Bridgeport. This is the Sovereign Architect, and I will see you next time, of course.